Hi class, today we are going to do a drawing of a scarecrow together. We'll start with the basic shapes of your scarecrow, step by step, and then we're going to work on adding objects in your background. We'll go over a lot about that as we get there. So let's go ahead and start with a blank piece of paper and a pencil to start our drawing. So to start our drawing, we are going to focus on the scarecrow, the main object of our drawing. Now it looks like the main object because it is in your foreground, the front of your picture. It is the closest thing to you and also the closest thing to the bottom of your page. So we are going to draw a nice big scarecrow because it is big in close to us in your foreground. The foreground is the front of your picture. So starting with the scarecrow, we are going to break it down at first into simple geometric shapes to help us draw it. This is what I mean. The basic geometric shapes like circles and squares and rectangles to help us start the drawing. We can get more detailed as we work. So I'm going to go ahead and I think right about in the center of your paper, right in the middle is where that circle for the face could go. And then underneath a rectangle for the body. And then two long rectangles the same size for the arms. And two long rectangles for the legs. Great. So now that we have the basic geometric shapes, we can go ahead and start adding a little bit more detail to your scarecrow. You might notice that the shoulders are a little bit more curved, like he's stuffed with hay, not so square and box-like. So you can go ahead and soften up the shoulders and even soften up and round the sleeves, things to make it look round. We're going to make your scarecrow go from flat to kind of a little bit more 3D. So far, we've made geometric shapes. And now we want to add some form to them to make them look a little bit more round in 3D. So we're going to curve some of our lines on the arm. And on the shoulders. And also at the bottom of your legs. Now I'm going to turn my paper because it's easier for me to draw that way. It might be for you as well. Curve the bottom so it looks like it's really rounded and stuffed with the hay. Okay. Next we can start adding details like clothes, pants. It's totally up to you what you want. I'll do a little bit of a different look. Maybe there's kind of more of a looser collar on the shirt. Maybe he still has some buttons. And let's see, I like the patch looks on the pants. And just add two simple lines for stitches so you can see the patch was sewn on. I did a plaid kind of checker shirt. You could do a different design. I think that the fall plaid looks very fall-like. And you might notice I'm kind of curving my lines a little bit to give that form. And the other lines are nice and straight to create the checkerboard. And curving as I go down. Maybe you want a little cuff to the pant also. You get as detailed as you'd like. Now, remember, he's stuffed with hay, so there should be kind of hay poking out of every which way. So wherever you are changing from pants to shirt or shirt to sleeve, there should be some hay kind of poking out. Now be loose and free and just kind of add some nice spray of hay poking out. Maybe, let's see, up by the neck or some hair. We'll add the hat in too. And definitely out the legs. So for the hat, I did kind of like a nice straw hat. I started like this. I started at the top of the head, angled in a little bit, and gave it a dip. and then a curved line. Again, if we drew it straight, your hat would look flat, but since we drew it with a curved line at the bottom, it's going to look like it's going around and fitting on the head. Same for the big brim of the hat. Nice big curved line all the way around. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase the top of the head because we wouldn't see that part anymore. Your hat's covering it. There we go. Now again, be as creative as you'd like. You could add different eyes, nose, if you have a different way that you want to do the mouth. Go ahead, I did a dotted line over here. Maybe I'll make it a little bit more solid. I had cheeks over here, you don't have to. I don't know, maybe you want lashes on your scarecrow, totally up to you. And don't forget the stake in the middle, all the way down off the bottom of the paper. That's the wooden piece that is holding up our scarecrow. The next step in our drawing is to work on what is behind our scarecrow. That is called the background and also the middle ground. You probably could guess the middle ground is in the middle and then the background is way far in the back. So if we look at my drawing here, you can see that I have a pumpkin or two somewhere in the middle ground and then a nice fence way off in the background. Now, you could probably tell that this pumpkin is further away than this pumpkin because of its size. When things are closer to you, they look larger in your artwork. And when they are further away, they look smaller. So really, this pumpkin is way bigger than this entire fence. We all know in real life, the pumpkin would be much smaller. But because it's close to us and lower on the bottom of the paper, it's nice and big. And the pumpkin that's way off in the background is nice and small because it's close to your horizon line. So that's always a good trick to remember. Close to the bottom, like this sunflower, nice and big. Further away, close to our horizon line, your objects get smaller the further away they go. So let's start by adding in that horizon line to help us out. Right straight across your paper. Wherever you'd like works for me. Now, I would like to see you choose an object and draw it twice, one a little bit larger and one a little bit smaller. It doesn't have to be a pumpkin. It can be if you want. Maybe you want to do multiple sunflowers. Could be cornfields, wheat fields, any detail that has to do with fall that you'd like. Maybe leaves on the ground, nice and big, and then smaller further away. I'm going to leave that up to you. Even the grass details that I did are bigger in the front and smaller in the back. So I'm going to go ahead. I like adding a few more pumpkins, and then maybe I'll do some cornfields in the way off in the distance. So to do my pumpkin, I just started off with a nice oval. Gave it a bump on one side and a bump on the other. You might remember this from last year. And another bump and another bump. A stem and some nice looping pumpkin vines. Maybe some grass details down below. And maybe over here, instead of a fence, you want, I don't know, a cornfield. We can add a few details like that. And you can add a little shadow on the ground if you'd like. And one more. And maybe you want another little pumpkin off in the distance over here. Little grass marks. Okay, now all of a sudden, my artwork actually doesn't look flat anymore. Just like we took our flat shapes and we gave them form, we took a flat drawing and we gave it something called space and depth. Now, as you may have guessed, yes, space is another one of those elements of art we are referring to this year. Space, there's a lot of different ways to create the look of space, one of which is what we just did by making things the same objects, different sizes, or even things that we know are not that big look bigger the closer they are to you. So we're using size to create space. Alrighty, at this time our drawing is complete. You may take out a black marker or Sharpie and begin to trace everything you drew. You've worked so hard to this point, so don't rush it right now. Take your time, trace everything nice and slow. So once you've traced everything in Sharpie, I want you to find a nice big eraser and take some time erasing all that extra pencil that you have poking out the edges. Because when we add marker or crayon, it won't cover up that pencil and you'll see all those little pieces kind of sticking out underneath your Sharpie. And we want to go ahead and erase the pencil. So you take your time and do that first. And then the last step is to add color. You could use marker, you could use crayon, you could use both. I used marker on my main objects like the scarecrow and the pumpkin, the sunflower, and used a crayon on the really large areas like the grass and sky because it goes a lot faster with crayon and it lets the marker kind of pop and stand out. So I really liked that look. So when you're ready, you can go ahead and start and color in your scarecrow, whichever colors you'd like.